what you mean. I wouldn't know what to do. What do you mean, really
well,
mean?
Think of something, you know,
I mean,
and make it good. Man. Make it good, because I'm not going to go out there and bail you out by saying, but no.
Be me, huh?
Just be yourself, that's all. Just try to come up with something. You'll be all right.
Okay, I'll try to come up with something. Let me ask you one thing, though. You know, all your success and everything, why are you still doing this TV show?
Why am I doing this TV show? Because it's different. It's live from New York. It's Saturday night.
Hello and welcome to the Not Ready for Primetime Project, where Gary Seath and Brad Robinson. This week on the early years of SNL,
and you're not.
We're talking about season 4, episode 14, with host Gary Busey and musical guests Eubie Blake and Gregory Hines. This show originally aired on March 10th, 1979. Brad, as you can tell, I've been sick for a few days, so I took a bunch of medication and I thought I may as well watch the Gary Busey episode. And it was worth it.
Pretty good, right?
On medication, yeah.
Okay. That was my Gary Busey as Billy Carter. Hope you liked it.
It was spot on.
Thank you. I've been practicing for days.
I was also thinking that Gary Busey's Billy Carter is not that far off of Gary Busey. Just full stop.
Fun fact. Apparently, it was not a motorcycle accident that caused Gary Busey to be weird as hell.
Right?
Yeah.
That happened many years later, right?
Many. Yeah. Yes. Apparently, in 1979, he was a weird dude.
Yeah. And he doesn't hide it, which, you know, God bless him for that. He is.
God bless him.
He's himself through and through.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was, I don't know. It was a frantic watch. Like I said, I took some medication and it's like, it was all over the place.
Well, first of all, medication aside, it is all over the place. Yes.
Right.
I'm just intrigued if medication has you liking it more or less, but we shall find out.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that myself.
Gary Busey, baby.
Yeah, Gary Busey. He's nominated for an Oscar for playing Buddy Holly.
Let's be real. Like a year ago this time, 1978, he's nobody. You know, he had been in a couple supporting roles, you know, Star is Born, Thunderbolt, and Lightfoot, like, you know, some TV roles here and there, but it was 1978. He plays Buddy Holly in the Buddy Holly stories they talk about. That's like the big thing. And as you know, as they mentioned, he was nominated for an Oscar. I think the nominations had come out like 3 weeks before this episode, and the Oscars would happen in a month. So
right,
it's kind of a cool, you know, showing of SNL, like, you know, playing with the times. Like it was like Sissy Spacek, right? Remember she got nominated and then was on the show a couple weeks later. So kind of in that vein. Yep. You know, this guy was nobody a year ago, and now he's up there.
Now he's up there hosting SNL, playing with the band.
He started as a drummer. Did you know that?
I didn't. It makes sense, though.
He actually played on a couple Leon Russell albums.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but he played under a pseudonym, which was his name of a character he had like in a sketch thing he was involved in earlier. But yeah, no, he has like a musical background.
Right. Now, I knew he was a musician. I guess I didn't know he was a drummer, but it makes sense when you watch him. I mean, he is on screen a presence and
he's Gary Busey.
Ball of energy. Like cocaine or no cocaine.
Right.
He's just frantic, I think is the word I keep coming back to.
Yeah. And I feel like that energy is permeated through this entire episode for good or bad. I would argue for good, but it's very interesting just to see Gary Busey and try to remember that no one knows who Gary Busey is, or not that many people know who Gary Busey is at this time. It's very easy to look back now. That's what I was saying. Like, it's amazing to see Gary Busey be Gary Busey 10 years, 12 years before the accident.
Yeah.
And he's still like on another planet. Because I feel like there's like 4 worlds of Gary Busey, right? Like there's what we see, the Buddy Holly era, right?
Uh-huh.
Then I would say there's Lethal Weapon Gary Busey, late 80s before the accident.
Right.
Then there's my personal favorite, Point Break post-accident Gary Busey, which I mean, in my mind is prime Gary Busey.
I originally, just so you know, I was looking for ex-presidents' masks that I could wear to this recording tonight, but I couldn't find them.
Dude.
Yeah.
Pappas? one of the FBI's best field agents ever. I mean, Gary Busey puts on a clinic in Point Break on how to be an actor. Come on now.
Yeah.
The scene where him and Johnny Utah are outside scoping out the bank and he's hungry. He's like, I could go for a meatball sandwich. Are you hungry? I'm hungry. Utah, make it 2. Brilliant. And then, of course, there's the fourth level of Gary Busey, like Celebrity Apprentice, completely whacked out Gary Busey. I mean, those are the 4 stages of Busey, I feel like.
Sure. Yeah. And we saw that at the SNL anniversary special when he was at the 40th, I think. I forget which one it was now.
No, that was the 15th when Robin Williams is making fun of him in the audience.
No, there's that one. Yes. But
There's
then the
that
one after that. So I guess it was the 25th where he like comes up on stage.
Oh, at the end.
Yeah.
There's a story. Somebody who told the story. It's a cast member who like backstage like rescued Lauren from Gary Busey because Gary Busey was like coming up to him at that point. Was like, hey, man. I'm here to blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Can't imagine that.
Oh, goodness.
Well, I feel like Gary Busey just gives all of this energy. So should we just get into this show?
I think we should. I don't know how much time you got left. Yeah, we should.
Yeah. How much time I've got left?
Yeah. You're looking like level 3 Gary Busey right now. I'm not going to lie.
I feel a lot better than I did. That's all I'll say. Well, the cold open starts with Garrett walking through the locker room with a horse.
Well, yeah, Garrett used to be a jockey, remember?
That's right.
You saw things we did last summer. I mean, it makes perfect sense. And I was excited because my first note was, the horse is back, thinking it was a joke.
Right.
But instead, it's actually a very good foreshadowing.
It is. I wasn't expecting to see it again either, which was
No.
fun.
It was great. It was really good.
And honestly, it kind of would have been funnier if we didn't see it again, but that's neither here nor there. And Busey's upset that Belushi hasn't spoken with him all week, and Jane is talking through him. Before
that, though, did you notice Busey's winded?
Sure.
Like flustered and yeah. Have you not heard this story?
No.
That they couldn't find Gary Busey like literally minutes before airtime?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, so there's 2 parts of the story. One is Busey was apparently one of the most difficult hosts of this era.
I can see that.
I mean, part being Busey, part being he was just out partying with John all week. And I guess Belushi did this thing he would do with hosts sometimes where he would just party them to the ground.
Right.
And then they would show up on Saturday like dead to the earth. And John would show up, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, quote unquote, because he was used to it. It was his, that's what he did. But so they were having problems with Busey. I think he showed up like 3-4 hours late to the rehearsal on Friday, but they couldn't find him minutes before air. And they're running around looking for him everywhere. Hill and Weingrad talk about it in their book. Jane's in the scene and they ask her, like, have you seen Gary? And she's like, I think he said something about getting a pizza. And they found him in Paul Butterfield's green room, quote unquote, fueling up, which tracks. This tracks.
Yeah.
But so literally like minutes before, they're like rushing and like throwing him on the stage. So I believe, Gary's windedness and kind of out of it persona.
And sweatiness.
And sweatiness to kick this episode off is because 90 seconds prior to that, he was getting pulled out of a dressing room.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So Jane's talking him down on why John's upset. It's because John feels like Belushi took his Oscar nomination away from him. So he decides he's going to go confront Belushi, and he goes into his dressing room and they.
I like how John has a dressing room.
Yeah.
Everyone else has the locker room, including Busey.
Yeah.
And John has a dressing room.
Right. And in John's dressing room, like all the writers are there. Like who's in there? Downey and Brian Doyle and Rosie.
And Rosie and Al Zweibel's on the couch. Yeah. And they're all like talking him up and he's the greatest.
Right.
He's pontificating on how the Oscars don't mean anything and he wouldn't have gone. They're not his peers, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It's garish. Yeah.
And then we get another awkward live from New York from John.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree entirely. I thought it was really good. It felt like
really good.
I did.
I think this is the beginning of our disagreements about this episode.
Yeah, okay. It felt like a rare instance of it just fitting seamlessly into the sketch because, we just heard it. But, Busey's like, why do you do the show? He's like, I do it because it's different. I do it because it's live from New York. It's Saturday night. I don't know. I thought it felt really well written in the sketch.
I think it was better written than it was delivered.
I thought he delivered it fine. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah. No.
It's fun. I liked it.
Yeah.
So did you not like the opening at all?
No, I don't. I'm sick of Belushi in the in the cold open.
Yeah. Well, this is like what, the fourth or fifth time in a row now? At least the
Something
fourth
like
that he's
that,
done it. Yeah. He has had it a lot. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was decent and fun and was a good way to set it up.
Well, the chaos continues with the monologue. It's not even really chaotic. It was short.
Very short.
Gary Busey comes on. He's not hiding behind any character either. That's like I said, Gary Busey is unapologetically Gary Busey throughout this entire show.
Right. And that was the point of the cold open, which kind of then plays into the monologue, which we see every now and then, where it's kind of like a two-parter.
And so he does the first thing he ever did in front of people, which is a leg slap, hard clap, short thing.
Like a vocal piece. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was surprisingly fun. He got the crowd into it. You love when the audience is like into it. This was a great way. He totally got the audience on their side.
Right. And I liked it because it was like he brought the energy and he was himself.
Yeah. Short and sweet. Got the crowd up. They started yelling. He's like, all right, we got a great show. See you later.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to get going.
Yeah, totally. I was expecting more, but I don't think we needed it.
No.
I was glad we didn't have it.
I agree.
That needed to be short because you buckle in for the next 35 minutes. There's
a lot
sketch.
of long tonight. There's a lot. I'm just gonna. There's at least 3 instances of very long tonight.
Yeah,
and this is the first. Yeah,
this one starts in the White House bedroom with Dan as President Carter. Lorraine's there as Rosalind this time, and he's packing for his Mideast trip when his mother comes in, played by Gilda, who gets a reception herself from the audience.
Yeah, but what I thought was surprising, not that she got the response, but she actually delivered her first couple lines at the doorway, and it wasn't until then she had 2 lines and then walks in, and then the applause come.
Yeah.
And maybe it was because people couldn't see her that well. Like I don't know where the set was on the stage, but it was odd that she spoke 2 lines and then the applause came and they had to wait.
Yeah. No, it was. I think that just drew more attention to it too.
Yeah.
So Jimmy's packing for the Mideast, and his mother, Lily, played by Gilda, wants to talk to him about taking his brother Billy to the Mideast. And really, who better to play Billy than Gary Busey? It's kind of perfect.
I mean, they've been putting Billy Carter jokes out there for a while now. It is great to finally see somebody play Billy Carter. Yeah.
I enjoyed the joke where Lily calls Billy and he doesn't come. So she opens a can of beer and he just shows up. That was funny.
The audience loved it too. Like his
they
entrance got a huge reaction. That was fun to see.
Yeah.
But we should say he was, I believe, at this time still at a California Naval hospital in rehab. He was actually in rehab in detox. And he went there in February, and the month prior, he was in fact spotted on a runway in Atlanta urinating on the runway. That's a legit story. They were like waiting for a plane with a Libyan delegation, and reporters caught him urinating on the runway. So there's a great line that Busey has later on where he apologizes for anything I may have said or have whizzed on.
Yeah, that was funny.
You're not allowed to have any alcohol. Now, Billy.
Not even beer?
Not even beer. No alcohol. No drinking at all, Billy. Oh, now look, Billy. Billy, now, isn't there something that you had to say to your brother Jimmy?
Yes, ma'am, there was. Jimmy, if I embarrassed you for something I said, or someplace I whizzed, I want to apologize.
It's okay, Billy.
Excuse me.
I realize you're doing your best.
I am.
Now, Jimmy, isn't there something you want to say to your brother?
Well, all right. Billy, would you like to go to the Middle East with me?
The Middle East. Oh, yes, I would.
You have to keep your mouth shut and behave yourself. The eyes of the world is going to be upon us.
I will. I promise. I'll do my best.
So it's decided that he will go with his brother to the Middle East and go to this dinner. And then we get Bill on as Walter Cronkite filing a report.
Yeah, it's almost like that sketch could have ended there, because the whole point of this part of the sketch is her convincing Jimmy to let Billy go. And then Billy comes in and they have the back and forth. And she tries to end it with like, it warms my heart to see you two, blah, blah, blah. In theory, you could have ended it there.
That's what I thought.
Where the technical snafu came into place, where they couldn't, like, Gilda had to vamp for like a couple lines because they didn't fade out to Bill yet.
Right.
And I liked Busey's take on Billy Carter because it felt kind of like a Billy Carter Buddy Holly. Did he have a beer belly on? Like, did he have padding on?
I think so. Yeah.
So he's got like a beer belly. And then Billy Carter wears glasses, but not like Buddy Holly glasses.
Right.
He's wearing Buddy Holly glasses. So it was kind of a fun, like, little back and forth on Billy Carter
and a fishing hat.
Buddy Holly. And the fishing hat. I think the fishing hat was actually added too. I've seen pictures of dress where he's not wearing the hat.
No.
But he does a good job. You're right. Who else other than Gary Busey would pull this off so well?
Right. I think he did it really well. And again, I'm always happy to see Bill's Walter Cronkite. And I thought maybe they were shoehorning that in just to get it in there and stretch it a little bit. And then I realized
I was just surprised. My note was, oh my God, it's still going. Like they're going to continue this sketch.
My note was, oh man, we're going to the dinner. And we did.
Well, first I had it's still going, Walter Cronkite, and now Sadat.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 sketches in one.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. So we go to the dinner. Now they're all changed into tuxes and they're now at
So you
the
needed
dinner.
that Bill piece.
Right. You needed that.
You
so
need
they
the
could
Bill
change
piece
costumes.
to let them change. Yeah.
Again, we get Garrett as Anwar Sadat. Jane is there as Sadat's wife this time. Belushi's there as the
Monacan?
It's a dinner where they're up and toasting, and Dan gets up as Jimmy and makes a toast, and then Billy gets up and makes everything awkward.
Woo! The whole time.
And Billy's just chugging wine every time they
every time
give
there's a toast,
he chugs a glass of wine. Yeah.
And I'm 99% sure that was real red wine in those glasses.
I'm almost positive. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there were some funny things in there, but it was long. And I didn't feel like the payoff was warranted as much screen time as we got there.
It was long, but I didn't mind it. There's so much going on. I feel it was really well written.
Yeah.
Each part on their own, I thought was very well written. The part we talked about in the bedroom, I really liked. The Cronkite bit was short and funny. He makes another joke about the precautions they took against the Wailing Wall covered in a tarp.
Yes.
So he didn't pee on it.
Yeah.
So that was funny in itself. And then the dinner scene as its own sketch was funny. Belushi referencing he has a brother in his family or brother-in-law in his family. And so each individual piece worked. So I didn't mind the length, but it did feel like a long piece.
Yeah, it was.
It was way after the fact. I thought about it and I thought like that could have been kind of a fun runner. Have that as the opening sketch.
Yeah.
And then like Murray does a Cronkite, in theory, update, but he can't do it during update, although he could have because he was late anyway. But like, they cut to him during update and like Cronkite delivers that thing. And then you do the dinner like later in the episode. It kind of could have been a fun thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind the length. I thought it was a rare instance of, for me, a long sketch working fine.
Well, because it was 3 pieces.
I think that helped.
Together.
It changed it up. You saw the whole cast. Like everybody was doing different things.
Everyone was there. Yep.
Yeah, there was 3 different sets and 3 different things. So it helped break it up a little bit.
That sketch was so long that when we get to our musical guests next, Eubie Blake and Gregory Hines, honestly, Eubie Blake looked tired. He was like,
well, he's 92. Give a guy some slack.
Midnight. Well, exactly.
It's midnight.
Don't leave him hanging that long.
Yeah.
So they were on Broadway at this time, correct? Or they had just been on Broadway?
Well, Gregory Hines was.
Yeah.
So Gregory Hines was playing, as Busey mentioned, playing Eubie in the Broadway play Eubie.
Right.
Yeah, I think it had come out that fall. We should say, or I should say, like Gregory Hines. Wow.
Oh, yeah. I love Gregory Hines.
But I only know him, honestly, like as a tap dancer. I had no idea he could sing.
Really?
It's probably my own naivete, but like, I was looking it up. Like he made his Broadway debut back in the mid 50s.
Yeah.
And he was on Broadway, as you say, playing Eubie, which he would end up getting his first Tony nomination for. This play about Eubie Blake. But now then, to the show's credit, you've got Eubie Blake on. who
Right.
probably, and maybe people then knew again, especially since the play was
Right.
happening. But Gregory Hines, again, we look back, we all know Gregory Hines.
Right.
Does anybody know who Gregory Hines
I
is?
think they did in the 70s. Yeah. Like
How?
Gregory Hines was a thing. He was on
How?
different, I don't know. He was around, he was on shows and stuff.
You know when he made his TV debut?
When?
The filming of Eubie, which came out in 1981. You know what his first movie role was?
No.
History of the World Part 1.
He's really funny in that.
He replaced Richard Pryor, which I don't think I knew.
Yes. I think I knew that. Yeah.
Because Richard Pryor was supposed to start filming like legit 2 days after he caught himself on fire.
Yeah.
Do you know who referred or what's the word? Recommended Gregory Hines to Mel Brooks?
No.
Friend of the pod, Madeline Kahn.
That makes sense. Sure. She's Broadway.
It was happening with Richard, and she told Mel Brooks, you should check out this guy Gregory Hines, and he like flew him to LA, and it all happened. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody knows who Gregory Hines is at this point.
I think they did.
How are you knowing who he is if you're not following Broadway?
People know Broadway stars in the 70s, Brad. Like they were still stars. Just because they weren't on TV doesn't mean they're not stars. Is that that's your
No, but I'm from my gathering, like Eubie was his first big break. I don't know, maybe not break, but like that's the one that set him off on that
right,
level.
right. That was like a next level role for him.
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe you're right.
But they come on and sing Low Down Blues.
Mm-hmm.
I'm simply full of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wild about Harry. 3 songs. I was really excited to see Gregory Hines. Like you said, you know him as a tap dancer, and he didn't dance with the first song. So I was happy that they played another song, and then he did some tap dancing.
Yeah, I wasn't excited. Again, only because I know him as a tap dancer. And I'll be honest, I don't understand tap dance. It looks very complicated. And I understand in order to do it takes a lot of skill.
Uh-huh.
But like I don't understand the reason for it. Like why you would do it. Like why do we need to see tap dancing? I don't know.
Because otherwise it's just people making noises.
I guess.
The whole point of tap is like it's another instrument that they're playing with their feet, essentially.
Oh, I see.
And they're dancing.
Right. Okay. People who tap dance, like I'm in awe of because I could never even fathom doing it. So I wasn't that excited. But then I love the little banter they had at the top where they're talking to each other. Like he introduces them. And
that's when he looked tired to me.
I like when he looks at Gregory Hines like, you know who I am, right? like right off the bat, I'm like, I love this guy. Like you are great. Cause I admittedly I did not know who Eubie Blake was. So like, I was like, this guy is fantastic. And then it starts off slow, but the whole vibe, you can just tell there's something about it. Like there's something special happening here.
Yeah.
I don't love Gregory Hines, don't know him that well, did not know Eubie Blake, but I could tell like something, I was watching something special, like something you don't normally see.
Right.
And more often than not on this show in this era, doesn't work.
True.
But this was so fun to see. And like I said, and like you mentioned, that first song, I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, Gregory Hines can sing.
Yeah. Yeah. And Eubie Blake can still play.
Oh, yeah. And then it was fun to watch them go in. Like they finished the first song and I was like, oh my God, they're ending with some banter. Oh no, not ending, just going into a second song.
Yeah. It was fun. It's one of those where I think we talked about it a few weeks ago where unfortunately Rick Nelson played 3 songs, but we don't get a lot of bands performing 3 songs outright. I think it was the band, right?
I was going to say, it was interesting that they performed 3 songs. And then I really hope Ricky Nelson was paying attention because that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Not in the monologue.
No, or just well.
Well, that too. Yeah. This was great. I really enjoyed this a lot.
Many mid-performance applause. Like Gregory Hines, when he finished tap dancing, they broke out into applause when he came back to sing. The third number, when Eubie starts playing the piano, and like, which I think I have a kind of a feeling he made all that up on the spot. Like they didn't rehearse it, because if you watch Gregory Hines, he like is looking when to start singing.
Yeah.
And then he kind of is like, then Eubie's like, sing it. And he says from the top, like, like he had to go backwards.
Yeah.
So it's
jazz,
like,
baby.
Yeah, no, it was, that's what I mean. It was so fun. And you can tell like Gregory Hines is genuinely having a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can see and feel it. Like the admiration that these two have for each other, like just comes through the screen
Mm-hmm.
that you can't not enjoy it.
No. And especially like Gregory Hines is young at this point.
Yeah.
And he just
Eubie
looks
Blake
so
is not.
No, he's not. Well, there's such a difference between the two of them. And like you said, for there to be that respect that they have for one another that's visible, and just how in awe Gregory Hines is of him just sitting there. It's awesome. It's remarkable.
Yeah. It was really cool. And, you know, I feel like the last sketch, it's a little long, but it still feels like fun. Like I still enjoyed it, even though it was long.
Yeah. And I think this is definitely a performance that needed to be 3 songs at once. Like breaking this up you wouldn't have gotten that same energy from it.
I had that question at the end. I kind of wondered how it would have played if they would have split it up, even, one song, then 2, or 2, then 1. But no, it plays so well the way they did it.
Yeah. I don't think you could have done it any other way. It was great.
It was really great. This honestly one of the best musical performances we've seen in this era.
Yeah, I agree.
Just so good. So good.
I agree. Well, I wonder if you can use that same term for our next sketch, Brad. Women's problems.
I like this sketch. I don't care. This is a good sketch.
So Dan plays our host, Steve.
Did we see this before?
Yes.
It reminds me, the sketch that I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the rape hotline sketch.
Yeah. It's very much like that.
It's in that vein, right? Yeah.
Yes. Bill, Garrett, and Gary Busey are the panel, and they are just bemoaning all of the issues of, being a man.
Bemoaning? They're addressing and bringing to light women's problems in the late 70s, Gary. What?
Yeah. Problems such as working, having babies,
careers,
whining, and menstruation.
They're the only show on television shining a light on these issues.
That's right. The only show. I enjoyed Gary Busey's just like leaning back with his legs spread wide open, just like
you could that was an obnoxious amount of man spread going on there. To the point where he kept going and going, where his pants kept riding up and up and up. So it was almost like he was wearing knickers.
I think Bill was laughing with him during this sketch. Like a couple times you saw Bill
broke a couple times.
Yeah.
There was a line I think Dan ad-libbed at one point because it kind of threw Bill. Actually, you catch him laughing at the end about the ham bone. We'll get to it. But Dan says something like, "Yep, that's right. Look out for that ham bone." And you just see Bill lose it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this sketch was. It was what it was.
I was waiting for you to lead off on commenting on how Bill Murray is dressed in his 3-piece suit and his tie is not tucked in.
Oh, that's right. It was outside of his vest.
But I don't know why I'm waiting for Gary to talk about that.
Yeah, medication, man. I wrote down half the things I thought on this show.
So I am enjoying this episode up to this point. But my first, I think, laugh out loud moment comes when, they're talking about, Bill talks about women wanting to have careers and babies and how that doesn't work and yada, yada, yada. And then Garrett talks about, well, the real problem is whining. Or they're talking about whining. And Garrett goes, but do you ever think they do that because they want their man to set them straight? And Garrett says, I like to whap her on the butt with a car antenna.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I laughed out loud.
You did?
I don't know. It was so funny. Like Garrett's delivery was just so funny.
I'm beginning to wonder which one of us was on the medication.
I may want a kid. When I'm 40, late 40, something like that. Nah. If that happens, I'll divorce my wife, marry a girl in her 20s.
Right on.
I'll take that chance.
Good.
That's life. That's life.
I would do it too.
But you're not going to hear me whining about it all the time.
Well, now that brings up another terrible woman's problem.
Right.
Whining. Now,
Whining.
that is a problem women have.
Wait a minute.
I think you guys are missing the point, though, man. Now, see, if a woman steps out of line, man, see, she's asking her man to show her that he cares by slapping her around a little bit.
Amen.
See? Now, if one of my women gives me trouble, I'll whap her on the butt with a car antenna till she says she's sorry. You know? That's what
Well, That's a different system, Mike. I mean, sometimes a man can gain more ground by trying to understand, whatever particular problems that particular broad might have.
Yeah. And you know, one of the biggest one problem that we haven't touched on is the fact that when they get old, man, they get ugly.
I doubled down again when he had a callback to it at the end of the scene when he talked about it. They talk about the body parts they like, and everybody says breast. And of course, they go to Garrett, and as the black man, they're going to lean to. I like a big butt, but then he says, something you can hold on to, and whack with a car antenna. And I legit laughed out loud again.
That was a funny callback. Yeah.
I don't know. I like this sketch. I like Brian Dole Murray. They take questions from the audience, and Brian Dole Murray comes down, and he's like hiding himself with sunglasses and a baseball hat. And he's like, "Can you tell me why it is women have a problem that none of them can climax?"
Yeah, that was funny.
And that's when Busey gives the, I got this. Let me tell you this. It's the ham bone. You either find it or you don't. Nothing you can do about it. Not your fault.
Well, this is like, this is your next podcast, right? This is you and
yeah. My next podcast is going to be women's problems. Me and no one. But I don't know. You didn't like this? I thought it was written well. I thought it's performed really well.
It was okay. I was like, it's fine. I don't know. It didn't go anywhere. It was just like one joke that was stretched over 4 or 5 minutes that I was like, all right.
I guess. I don't know. I thought, it's making a comment on how stupid these guys. I thought it all really. I didn't need the John part when John came up at the end and he, you guys are the only show shining the light. That part probably was a bit redundant and not needed, but.
Yeah, I guess I was looking for a foil. Like I was looking for a foil to come in and.
I think that's the joke. There's no foil.
I know.
But I mean, accentuate at the point it ends with a group man hug at the end. They all get up and hug each other for the great job they're doing. But the characters, like Dan's kind of playing a version of E. Buzz Miller, it felt like, and Bill's playing the swarmy guy who thinks he's better than everybody. It's like they're playing their tried and true versions of what they can do. And I thought it was a good setting for all of them. Garrett with his kind of like, simple-minded, ignorant guy. Like it was just everything was all there. Busey playing Gary Busey, I guess.
Yeah, just in an orange suit.
Yeah, I didn't love Busey in this sketch, but he kind of somehow fit into it. Okay,
he made it. He made it his own. That takes us to Weekend Update.
Coming up on Weekend Update,
except for Bill, who couldn't get out of his 3-piece suit fast enough.
Yeah, so Jane is waiting on Bill.
Yes. Weekend Update was brought to us by Chairman Meow Cat Food.
No one got that joke because they're all laughing at Bill running at the last minute.
Yeah.
But then what was really funny about that is then Jane goes on to take the first 4 jokes.
I know.
Like you didn't even need Bill because he wasn't doing anything for 2 minutes.
Nope. It was just he needed to be there for that open, I guess.
But let's be fair. It sets the tone for Weekend Update because this is a bonkers Weekend Update.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of a car wreck.
It's a fucking train wreck.
There's a bunch of jokes about Carter in the Mideast, which we knew about. Seal Hunters, a joke about Philadelphia.
I like the Seal Hunters joke. That was like a very O'Donoghue-esque joke. Jane does a great job. How great is Jane? How great is Jane? Where she delivers the joke about, was it sea otters again, right? Sea otters?
Seal Hunters.
Or seals. Seal Hunters. And they got like bludgeoned to death. And, the ground was covered in blood and they're shrieking in the air. And then she turns to camera. The story is marred by a sad note.
Yeah.
Many of the hunters slipped and fell and got fractures and frostbite. Get well soon, fellas. Like Jane it was such a great joke and Jane did it so well.
She was very good. I liked the joke where Bill is like, "Oh, hey, Jane, you left your earrings at my apartment," and gives them to Jane. And she's like, and then he's like, "Oh, Lorraine found them." Jane
was
feels
weird
hurt.
to me. Yeah. That one felt weird, especially because of the Bill Gilda of it all.
Right.
It was even another layer of weirdness of like, okay, Jane with Bill and then Lorraine's in there and not Gilda. I don't know.
I think that's what made it funny to them.
They made reference to my Philadelphia notice from last week.
Yes, they did, about the clock. And they
Clock
kept
misspelled.
it. They kept it. Philadelphia.
There you go, Philadelphia.
And then we get the horse that we saw at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
The horse comes back because
sort of
the horse who played Mr. Ed who had died. And so in Bill Murray's Celebrity Corner, Mrs. Ed comes on. And they try to get this horse in front of a green screen to do Mrs. Ed with Gilda doing the voiceover. And this horse was having none of it.
No. And I think Bill Murray does a great job of trying to keep this together. It's just so silly and hilarious. He starts vamping because they don't cut to it because obviously the horse is nowhere near the green screen.
Right.
And then once the horse gets there, he's trying his best to hold it together. And then Gilda starts speaking for Mrs. Ed. And
yeah, she throws it. She's like, where am I even going?
And she finally turns around and Bill's like, it's the red one. It's the camera with the red light, Mrs. Ed.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really funny. And I thought they ended it great.
Yes.
Where he's like, how were his last hours or whatever? And she's like, it was fine. He's like, a corpse is a corpse. Of course. Like, I thought it was really, it was vintage Alan Zweibel.
It was very good. Yeah. Was it Zweibel?
Yeah. So I believe it was like Thursday, but I think it was Friday. That's the day Mr. Ed died.
Oh, wow.
And he was out at dinner with Lauren and they saw the news. And Zweibel like looks to Lauren. He asks me, he goes, can we get a horse? And he goes, you're not going to interview Mrs. Ed. He's like, oh yeah, we are. So like legitimately in 24 hours, they secure a horse, get it in and write this whole bit, which is just so, I mean, let's be honest. If the horse didn't malfunction as badly as it does, probably not nearly as funny.
Correct.
But this is a hilarious piece.
I mean, it shows the brilliance of a live show, right?
Yes.
And the chaos and everything that can go wrong. And the way that Bill and Gilda both handled it in the moment was really well done. And Jane,
I think Jane
loved
can't. Jane's laughing. She can barely do the sign off.
Yeah. They cut back to Jane and she can't keep it together. That was great. Well, that was Weekend Update. It was a good end to a otherwise weak Weekend Update.
No, I agree. It wasn't a stellar Weekend Update, but that again, the liveness of it all and Bill and Gilda like pulling that off was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it was good. Well, we can sit back for the next half hour and we can watch Unsung Heroes of Rock and Roll.
Yeah, this is another one.
So we're at a high school dance.
There's a lot going on. Good luck. Here we go.
Oh, we don't have to go through all of this. Like that's what I'm saying. We don't need to go through all of this. Short
it's a sock
story
hop,
is
it not? Isn't that what a sock hop is?
We're at a sock hop. Sure. Gary Busey plays the band. He's in the band.
Yeah, it starts off with a classic. It starts with a classic Franken and Davis crawl for 90 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sets the tone.
Yeah. And again, it's just like Gilda plays a student. Dan and Jane are teachers and the principal.
Bill's a student.
Bill's a student.
Gilda's sort of boyfriend, dude she's sleeping with, I guess.
Right.
Lorraine and Garrett are students.
Yep.
That's kind of everybody.
Yeah.
John's in the band.
And it's chaos. It's just like Gilda's I
don't know, though.
I mean, it's chaos as far as like, the fuck are we watching? Or why?
It's very long. But there's...
Yeah.
But I guess
But what's the point of this?
This was the long piece of the night that I would say didn't work for me because of the length. Like,
yeah.
But it's not the worst long sketch we've ever seen because it kept moving. Like the band comes off and there's a little bit with Gilda and Jane. Like everything moved in, I think, quick enough clips where it kind of worked. Like Gilda's talking to Jane, then she goes off, then it moves to like the punch table, and then there's stuff with her and Bill, and then we get Garrett and Lorraine's characters, which are interesting. Then they leave, and then they come back at the end after Busey gives her the keys to his hotel. She comes back, my mom won't let me stay.
Uh-huh.
John and Gilda, and then Dan, Dan comes to the table when they're trying to spike the drink. He has a bit with Gilda and Bill. There's like so many little things happening. I agree. There's a lot going on. And to your point, it doesn't really go anywhere, but I don't think that was the point. The point is it was like trying to like recreate this like 50s nostalgia-esque shit. And I think
Why
they did
was it the unsung heroes of rock and roll?
That I have no idea. I think only to give it context, because without that, you don't have an ending. Because that is the ending is the crawl. The crawl is the punchline to the joke. So if you don't have the crawl, then this joke really does not work for you. And so you need the opening crawl to have the end crawl, which means you have to make it a title and all that bullshit.
I guess. I don't know. It was a long way to that joke.
But you hate this sketch.
Yeah, I think it's pretty dumb. Like, it went nowhere. Like, there was nothing. There weren't even many little bits that I was like, oh, that's funny. There wasn't. See,
I think that there were tons of little bits, and maybe they didn't connect as well as you wanted them. But I like.
No, I don't think they were funny.
Bits.
Like the
they're not always
supposed
funny. All right, you didn't like Garrett trying to harmonize on the corner by himself as a one-note guy, the cool note.
Yeah, that was fine.
Finally, after a bunch of chatter and announcements, the band gets back on, and I think it's Gilda kind of antagonizes them to play rock and roll, and then and it was at that point I'm like, how in the hell because at this point we're 12 minutes in, and I'm like, how the hell does this sketch end?
Yeah.
And then it ends with a crawl where he tells Dan, the principal, well, you can stop this sock hop and you can stop rock and roll, but you can't stop whatever the hell his name was. Yeah. And Crawl's like, oddly enough, they could. Because moments later, the boiler exploded and they went deaf and never played rock and roll ever again.
Yeah.
Which was funny, but it took a very long time to get there.
A very long time.
This like I said, this is the long sketch that did feel long. It kept going and going, and you're like, where is it going? But did you like the next thing at least?
Well, I mean, it's Schiller's Reel. Of course I enjoyed it. Perchance to Dream with Bill. I've always liked this piece. Do you? Yeah. I mean, it's not my favorite, but it's one that I really like.
Is he playing Honker? He's playing Honker. Honker, right? Yes, sort of.
That's what they say in the Tom Schiller book.
Right.
Is that he's playing the Honker character.
It's like Honker light. But yeah, he's like a drunk guy.
I mean, this is one where seeing it now in 2025, if you hadn't seen this before, I don't think it would be as, I don't want to say jarring, but as surprising to see Bill do something like this as it is. I think it was probably more surprising in 1979 to see him do this than it would be now. That's all.
Yeah, because Honker shows up and he's having this voiceover in his head about call me collector. So he's like having a fight in his head, and then he's drunk and he finds this bottle and it's like perfume, and it's written really well. Like, that has an interesting scent, and he drinks it and passes out, and then he has this dream sequence where he's like performing Shakespeare on Broadway, and Bill's pretty good. Like, he does a good job. It's fun.
He's very good in this.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, again, it's another one of the Schiller's reels where he's using one cast member to do something out of the ordinary for that cast member. And he does his job as a filmmaker is done very well. And the performance is excellent.
Yeah, everything's clicking on this one. It was really fun. Yeah. Just long enough. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Story, and it had a good story. Like, sometimes Schiller goes a little abstract, which I don't love those, but this one was for me a little bit easier to swallow. It's like, okay, follow the story. It makes a lot of sense. And at the end, he thinks he's getting kissed and he wakes up by the cop, and Andy Murphy's playing the cop. It's very good. It's fun to see.
Yeah. Bill's in almost everything tonight too.
I think this is a great episode for a lot of the cast. I made the note on the next sketch that it's like Garrett and Lorraine have a lot of great stuff this week. I feel like everybody is involved and doing well, and like no one's outshining anyone else. Like, everybody at the end of it, that's why I realized I think I like this episode so much, is that everybody is on the same high level.
Oh,
and I
don't think it's a high level. I think everyone's at the same mediocre level.
I think I don't know. I think everybody's doing really well. I enjoyed this episode.
Well, that's good. Our next sketch takes us to Ensign, Kansas in 1937. So Dan plays a father talking to John and Bill, who are his sons, and Lorraine is the daughter. Was that what she was? Yeah,
I thought so. It seemed that way.
He says it turns out that there's a slop jockey coming round. His advice to the kids was not to give him any money and tell him to move on.
Yeah, Dad knows what's up.
Gary makes his way And he says that he would jump into their cesspool for only 85 cents. And John and Bill want to see this because they think it's funny. And then he does that. And Gary comes back with brown on his suit and his face and his body.
Yeah. Walks off camera. You hear a splash.
Yeah. And John, I mean, I thought John and Bill were fun in this. They did enjoy it.
They were good as brothers.
Yeah.
What are they? They're training to be rodeo clowns at one point.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Gary's like, well, that's good, boys. If you want steady work, I prefer traveling myself.
And then the big line at the end is Busey says, yep, it's 85 cents for me to jump into this cesspool, but $40 for me to move on. That's it. That was the sketch.
It got there. So
it got there. That's exactly right.
It got there. It was a little long, but I thought Busey played the ending really great. And I wasn't loving Busey a lot this episode, aside from Billy Carter, but I thought he played that end punchline great. It took a long time to get there.
Yeah, I agree. And then we get another musical performance from our host.
Yeah, this is where the story of this episode is kind of weird because the DVD has him coming out doing a killing time. Like, okay, the show's off the rails. We'll be right back. It gives this Gary Busey bizarro face. Like, what, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, if that? And then I guess when the show aired, it came back to them already playing the tune, him and Paul Butterfield, Rick Danko. And then that tune cut out early and just went to bumper. And that's how the original episode apparently ended. No good nights, nothing.
Huh.
Kind of a la Rob Reiner. But if you watch it on DVD or on Peacock, they have that killing time thing. We'll be back. And then he introduces Paul Butterfield, Rick Danko, and then they do the whole song and then come back and do good nights. And apparently they did two versions of the song back to back that night. We got sent the footage. So there, I guess in the 90s, there was a cable channel, Comedy Network, I think it was, right?
Yes.
Is that what it was? And one of our friends at Bronwyn, they sent us, Bronwyn sent us the footage. They said, I've got this footage if you want to see it. When they actually aired, they didn't have the killing time piece. So it went right from commercial to them playing, but it had the bumper.
Right.
And then it cut to what we see on the DVD of them introducing it and playing the whole song.
Yeah.
And the good night.
Weird.
It is weird. And I was trying to piece how they did this, like why and or how they did it. And what I could piece together, and Bronwyn kind of had this theory too, is that, they did it live where they came in and just, were live. And then the affiliates and everybody put the bumper on because they were going to cut the feed. And then at 1 a.m., they cut the feed. So everything stopped. And then I'm guessing because now it's season 4 and everybody knows what the show is and what they have on their hands, say not when Rob Reiner hosted,
right?
That they then said start over again because they knew there was going to be reruns and at this point tapes, VHS tapes are only a couple years away from coming out.
So it wasn't the dress that they filmed?
I don't think they taped dress back then. No. And if you look at the good nights, and if you look at the good nights, when Busey does the good nights on home base, the clock down there says 1:10, like it's 1:10 a.m. on that clock.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's what happened. I think it was 1 o'clock and everything, all the cameras, everything shut down. And they're like, let's just re-record this so we have it in the future.
Right.
Because then you can cut out everything you want. Because this episode does feel there's instances of being long. I mean, Busey probably added a few minutes of stuttering and rambling and not knowing what's going on.
Yep. The horse didn't help.
I think Eubie Blake, I do think he kind of added some extra stuff in that musical number.
Uh-huh.
And you get to the end and maybe it was just something where they didn't have a Mr. Bill or anything in their back pocket to throw out there. And so that Busey's like, all right, go do 90 seconds of your tune and we'll fade out on it.
Right. Interesting.
That's the only thing I could think of is why they would do it. And again, at this point now, they know what they have. They need to have a full proper episode. So even though they didn't record a good night live at 1 a.m., they know they need it for the future because this will live on.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Because this was one of the episodes they did in the early 80s. They used to release just episodes.
Right.
Back in the day, like early 80s, like Eric Idle, Steve Martin, Madeline Kahn. And this was one of the episodes they put out as, those like VHS. Remember those old like clamshell cases used to get like in the early days of renting videos? This was one of the episodes they put out. So I think they knew we need something. It's
Right.
it's not episode 3 anymore. We got to protect the legacy a little bit. We know this is going to live on. But this song is a mess.
Oh, yeah. So and in the footage that Bronwyn shared with us, we get both versions of the song. And in the first version, he actually, at the end of the song, he introduces Paul Butterfield and Rick Danko. But then in the version
That's what's
on
weird
the
in that
DVD,
footage. Yeah, because it's like they show the bumper, but then in that footage they come back from the bumper.
back from
That's why that footage is very weird to me. But
it's very strange. I couldn't quite put it all together. But
yeah.
but then in the piece that you see on Peacock and DVDs now, he introduces them at the beginning, which makes sense for what you're saying. So I don't know. Whole thing is weird.
I know.
And only Gary Busey could make this work, make this happen.
No, I know. And I didn't love this number. I hate to say it because I wanted to.
It is all over the place. Yeah.
I mean, Danko had his issues. Pretty sure Butterfield did too. So, there's 3 probably not very sober dudes on that stage at 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah. Well, who do you think Busey was in the dressing room with before the show?
That's what
And they didn't have to go perform for another hour.
No,
and a
they
half.
had nothing to do for 90 minutes. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's it. That's our show. We get the good nights. Gary Busey pours a bottle of Perrier on his head.
That's fine. Because I was trying to watch that. Like I was like, oh, maybe they actually did do the good nights, and then went back and did the song after good nights. But I was like, maybe is he wet? I was like trying to look at it all.
It's like
nothing but
Zapruder film for you.
Exactly.
Piece it all together. Back and to the left.
I have nothing but time on my hands.
Well, so you enjoyed this one, huh?
I thought it was a fun episode. You know what? And it took me a little while thinking about it after the fact. It's a fresh episode. You know what you didn't see this episode? Recurring characters.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until after the fact.
Yeah.
Other than Jimmy Carter, I think, right?
Right.
There's no recurring characters.
Nope.
John kind of even makes fun of it in the cold open where he's like, I'm not going to save you by going, but no.
Right.
So it's almost like they purposely came out new with new sketches, new things, which to be honest, this season feels fresh. Like it feels exciting.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
And I didn't love Busey as the host, but I feel they played well with him. And I feel like you mentioned, his frantic energy was there. I think the show just jumped on that. They took that lead and just went with it.
He really brings a level of chaos to it where it just kind of everyone had to be on their toes in some way because you didn't know what you were going to get when he's on screen.
A level of chaos which the show has not had in quite some time. And then you couple that with an amazing musical performance.
Yeah, I mean, that musical performance is, you're right, it's one of the best we've seen to date. And we got to see Gregory Hines tap dance, even if you don't understand tap dancing.
I'm not a smart man. But I don't know. It was a fun episode. I think it was just fun, more fun than funny. I think we say it about sketches a lot. Like a sketch is more fun than funny. I think this was an episode for me was more fun than funny.
I feel like that's kind of the running theme on season 4, really. I feel like we've said that about more shows this season than
I think we say it about sketches. I wouldn't say about overall shows. Really? You think overall shows? Okay.
Yeah. Well, all right. So you have convinced me it's not as bad as I thought it was coming into this. I still don't like Unsung Heroes of Rock and Roll, but
it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I agree. This because it's long and it's meandering, but it's interesting because there's just so much going on. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Well, Brad, what are your best bits?
All of that being said, I had a tough time figuring out bits.
Yeah.
I loved Schiller's Reel.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to say Weekend Update, but I'm going to shrink it down just the Mr. Ed Celebrity Corner. I think they're the two things.
I had Schiller's Reel and I didn't have the Mr. Ed thing, because it was just kind of caused by its chaos. But
yeah,
but I had the musical number because I think
I didn't have it, but we should have. Looking at it now, I'm like, I don't know how we don't have that. So yeah.
That's what I had. And Schiller's Reel, I love that. So
it's a great Schiller's Reel.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, that's it. Thanks, Gary Busey. We'll see you again at the 15th and 25th anniversary shows.
This is the high point and end of Gary Busey. I mean, it's like this and Lethal Weapon 1, and that's kind of about it, sadly.
And then Point Break. Oh, you mean of Gary Busey 1. I mean, yeah,
I meant Gary Busey. I love Point Break. It's so good. God, that movie's so good.
Next week, we'll be talking about Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze.
And Lori Petty and Gary Busey and Johnson McGinley. And Flea and Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's right. Yep.
And who else is in that movie? Oh, James LeGros. James LeGros.
Wow.
Johnny fucking Utah. James LeGros.
Next week, after our conversation about Point Break, we'll be talking about Season 4, Episode 15 with host Margot Kidder and musical guest, The Chieftains. Looking forward to that. Until then, good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Have a pleasant tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to the Not Ready for Primetime Project. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, please take a moment to rate and review the project wherever you find us. You can also drop us a line to let us know what you liked or didn't and what else you might like to hear in the future at nr4ptproject@gmail.com. And lastly, you can find us on social media everywhere at nr4pt project. Thanks again for listening. Have a pleasant tomorrow.
Back off, War Child. Seriously. Bodie. They go surfing at night. I can't see anything. Yeah, Vision is highly overrated. It's such a good movie.
I'm getting cold. You're getting cold because all the blood's leaving your body.
I mean, of course, there's the classic, I am an FBI agent. I know, isn't it wild? He's not going to miss the 50-year storm. 50-year storm, man. Thought about that for years.
Yeah.
Till it came and went and there was no storm. Movies have lied to me.